Welcome to welcome to 2020, and we're going to be doing our top 10 best movies of that we count down of the films that we saw in 2019. Now, 2019 was quite a big year for a lot of fucking movies, and we said goodbye to a lot of great franchises and a lot of great, basically an end of an era, so to speak.
Yeah, that was a lot of 2019.
Yeah, and one that we also had some gems that came out that we saw that while some of them didn't make our list, we still saw some good ones that, at least a couple of them that I did include in my list. But we'll get to that. But we basically wanted to break down a lot of films that we saw, and there were some movies that we unfortunately couldn't get to because of timing issues, like Parasite. I hear was really good.
Yeah.
There was also.
I heard good things about that Japanese film called Shadows. I was really wanting to watch that, but I didn't have time. I had it on my list, to watch before we started, but man, I went out of town and there was just so much going on. I got a home life, got this going on.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to get down. And upon making our list, if you guys not familiar, we've been doing this for 5 years now.
Yep.
And our first couple years, we didn't know what we were doing, so we did a shit ton of honorable mentions. So kind of refresh your memory again. We always do 3 honorable mentions, top 10, and then dishonorable 3, top 10 worst. That's how our format is, and this is our best of 2019. And unfortunately, like he was saying, there were so many good films this year, and believe it or not, I had a list of fucking 20 movies, and then I had to cut out 7 because we have a format.
Yeah.
So to get it down to 13, so we have 3 honorable mentions in our top 10. So without further ado, here's our best of 2019, our honorable mentions, starting with you, I guess. You can do your first 3, and then I'll do mine.
Alrighty, so I have 3 honorable mentions for best of list. Now these movies came close, but there were other films that I just preferred over these movies, but they were still fantastic that I enjoyed. My number 3 is going to be Rocket Man. My number 2 will be Shazam. My number 1 will be Spider-Man: Far From Home. These were great movies that I enjoyed over the later, but I just couldn't really find a spot for them in front of my top 10 because there were other films I kind of preferred over these, but they were still fantastic. Now, if I had like a top 20 or something, I would put like other movies on there. Like if I had to count on a separate ground, if I would have put movies like Us, or maybe something else in that regard, I probably would put on like a top 20 list. But yeah, these were still great movies that I considered like they came close, basically.
Yeah. All right, and for mine is number 3, Shazam. My number 2, Spider-Man: Far From Home. And my number 1, and I'm sorry, I found that he gave his heart into this film, and I absolutely felt nostalgia craze with this film, was Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Yes, and that's another one I forgot to mention too. Yeah. I would have put that on my list, but these other films, I just felt like they hold it just a little bit more merit. But I still agree, it was definitely a welcome return, and I do highly enjoy that one.
I don't get the hate for that because really it just screams nostalgia. And not only that, I felt like Kevin Smith put a lot of heart in that film.
He did, yes.
But yeah, those are my honorable mentions. So starting with your number 10.
All right, my number 10. Ooh, this is going to be a controversial one. This is a film that quite divided a lot of people, whether you follow like the way that these type of movies approach from the company A24. My number 10 is going to be Midsommar. Now, this was a film that I can see a lot of divided attention with. People either love it or hate it, depending on your taste of the director's work, especially if you've seen Hereditary. And just in general, if you're into these type of these artsy style horror films. I personally really enjoyed it because it was one of those movies that I was just on the edge of my seat. Like, it was so disturbing, and in my opinion, I felt like this was everything that the director like really gravitated from Hereditary, but on a different level. Because in this one, it reminded me of like basically a companion piece to the original this Wicker Man from the 70s, which I haven't seen, but I've heard a lot of fantastic things
Not
about.
the Nicolas Cage.
No, that's on a different level. I still watch that for a different.
The bees,
not the bees. Yeah. So this movie just it was not only compelled with the way that it put me in a destroyer level, but I just love the fact that in this one we were able to get kind of more of a sort of resolvement as far as its characters in this, because really if you look at it, and the director described itself, it's really more of a breakup movie that happens to be set in a horror movie, and it really deals with a girl that, man, bless her heart, she went through fucking hell in this entire movie, like having to deal with so much pain. Not going to spoilers, but you pretty much know how the outcome goes at the end of it.
Okay.
So that's my number 10 is Midsummer.
All right, my number 10 is Toy Story 4. What a comeback to a iconic animated franchise, which is one of the most famous Pixar films of all time. One of my favorite of Pixar as far as franchises. And this is a film that actually, when it first was announced, I was wondering why, because really Toy Story 3 was such a phenomenal fucking ending to a franchise. That was like a perfect 1, 2, 3 as far as animated. I don't think you can tell me another better animated trilogy.
Yeah.
Really, you can't. So when this one was being made, I was kind of a little worried because, I mean, I didn't want them to just draw something else out. You know how films get when they have that perfect trilogy. They want to make the money, cash in, bring it back. But then you start something new again, and I was kind of worried. But upon seeing the film, man, I fucking loved every bit of it. It was still able to give us another great story and give us another emotional ending that got to me.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this was actually one that it definitely was needed.
Yeah.
This was actually one that...
it ended up being one that was needed.
And I agree. It's definitely a film that not only captured the magic of how much I love Toy Story, but it's a film that, you know, it carries not only the nostalgia, but even... It's a timeless type of story that you can keep going on with. And
after upon seeing it, I could see them, you know, doing more. But again, it ends so good. Again, they found another phenomenal, perfect ending, which I thought they wouldn't be able to do after saying goodbye to Andy in 3. I was like, man, that's a closure right there. They live happily ever after. But this one, I mean, we can spoil now. Everybody's seen hopefully seen all these movies. We get where we see Woody and Buzz say goodbye. Yeah. And that was just like, whoa, everybody's going their own separate ways. Yeah. But the story was really good. I like that whole like toy store type feeling. Yeah. I felt like that brought the meaning to the name, the Toy Story.
Exactly. And I love some of the new characters they brought in too that were fantastic. So
so that's my number 10, Toy Story 4.
Fair enough. My number 9 is going to be a film that, what do you know? It's another film that in this franchise has made my list. John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. Another film in the franchise that keeps itself so consistent and keeps going and going and just, you know, it doesn't stop. This is a movie franchise that I could see countless of, and they could keep going on forever with. Mm-hmm. Not only was the stakes really fucking high this time, with John Wick pretty much having to face everyone in the fucking world after his ass, and and also I got a really good credit to Halle Berry's character that comes in to help him out, even though it was a little questionable why she kind of like goes away after the last half of the movie. Yeah. So that was one thing I was having a little nitpick on, but the way that the movie, keeps going on non-stop, fucking balls to the wall action and shit, it shows how much these movies are made, but also able to keep the story fresh, because they show how much of a vulnerable character John Wick is, and just so much of not only developing more of what the Continental does, but now it's like all bets are off because it's even stuff beyond the Continental that we didn't even know about. Yeah. So it makes it even more excited when they get to the next ones coming out, and man, this is the franchise that I think that I'll consider my favorite Keanu Reeves movies out of, as far as his action ones. Yeah. So, yeah, this movie was everything I wanted, and it doesn't hold any bars. It was definitely quite a phenomenon. Yeah. So that was my number 9.
Okay. My number 9 is Ford vs. Ferrari. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought this was a great... You don't see many racing films that are really good.
I think the last one that was on this kind of level was probably that one with Chris Hemsworth a few years ago called.
I didn't see that
yeah.
one, but I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah, it was a
Rush.
real life. Yeah, Rush. It was about a real life story.
Formula One. Yeah.
But anyways, this is also based off a true story, and it's about Ford wanting to take on Ferrari because Ferrari was known as the fastest car in the world at the time.
Yeah.
And Ford wanted to be on par on that, and they wanted to beat them at this race. I forgot the name of it already.
Yeah, I remember.
I'll have to look. But you guys know what I'm talking about. This big race that Ferrari wins all the fucking time. And of course, to have a better car, you also have to have the driver. And that's played by Christian Bale, who is really well written as one of the best drivers of the age.
Absolutely.
Of the time. And I'll tell you right now, him and Matt Damon were fucking great chemistry. Oh my God, they were fucking phenomenal together. They had great chemistry, like I said. The comedy blended very well with this film. The story was just awesome. You know, the build-up and the failures and the build-up and the failures and then the dilemmas and the shit that are going through. You have people for Ford doesn't want Christian Bale involved. They think he's a hack.
Yeah.
And you got Matt Damon who's like, no, man, I gotta have this guy. And then, of course, if you guys know they're based off the true story, it ends in a very emotional end. And that really got me because knowing this guy had a family.
Yeah, it was.
And it was pretty sad seeing that at the end. So I love this movie. I enjoyed every bit of it. When a movie can keep me glued to the fucking screen, you know it's good. And, no phones, no nothing. I was just so attached to it. The performances were fucking great. So, yeah, that's my number 9, Ford vs. Ferrari.
Fair enough. Now, my number...
8.
Now, my number 8, I have Ford vs. Ferrari, just like he said. This is a film that, like you were saying, everything that I wanted to see, everything that was so captivating with the way they developed the story with how Ford has to, make their own type of sports car. It was really interesting. You don't see these type of movies like this.
Yeah,
and
not racing.
Not racing.
Not this good.
Yeah,
on racing.
And the movie just had so much of an edge where not only was the comedy really great with Matt Damon and Christian Bale at it together, back and forth, but also just the intenseful moments with the car racing when it gets to it.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it feels like you're actually there with them. With
the way they shot
the
movie, the way they shot this movie. And the racing sequences was some of the best. Realistically, not Fast and Furious where it's starting to get out there.
Yeah.
I'm talking about realistically, dead on, if you want to see a real life NASCAR-ish type feel. This was it.
James Mangold really pulled it off with this, man.
Yeah.
He was able to put attention to detail on the little things too, how they go into a certain speed on the track and everything, and then you're having to have Christian Bale's character have to pay attention on certain things, like with the brakes and stuff.
Yeah. Little details will give you an edge in the win of a race. And you have Bale's character, he's pretty much studying every little thing, wind velocity, you name it. He's got it. Just to get that edge. Because he knows he's going to need it. Ford taking on a Ferrari. You're going to need the edge. So
yeah. So the movie it had so much emotional impact, and it just moved at such a great pace, and I was never bored by it. There was maybe they could have trimmed just a tiny bit, maybe on kind of made some scenes go, but at the same time I was still into it. I kept going on with it. So there was just so much that this movie had, and it was definitely one of the best racing movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So that's my number 8.
All right, my number 8 is The Irishman.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing back Martin Scorsese and the all-time great cast, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, and the rest of the others. And this brings us back to them and pretty much might be the final get-together of Joe Pesci and all them.
Mm-hmm.
As Joe Pesci said that pretty much this is it for him, and it brought everybody out of retirement. I was really... when I heard the news about this film about a year prior, well, man, was I fucking hyped. I love Casino. I love Goodfellas. I love Scorsese. His direction on every film is fucking great. In fact, I don't even know which one movie I like.
I know, because
it's so fucking hard. This guy made the Departed too.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
He's even able to make kids movies great, like Hugo.
So it's what the fuck, But of course, the gangster movies I fucking loved. And I grew up watching, Goodfellas and Casino and I still hold dear in my heart. It's like one of my favorites, other than the Quentin Tarantino's versions of his gangster films are pretty fun too.
Yeah.
But again, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro coming in, and he's playing this guy who pretty much trying to get. It's got like a politic thing going on too.
It's all about the Jimmy Hoffa and the Teamsters.
Yeah, the Jimmy Hoffa and the whole JFK, Robert FK, thing, and basically he's a guy just looking to make some extra dough, and then they find out he does stuff.
Yeah,
he can get the job
paints
done.
Houses, as he's described.
Yeah, and he's pretty much and then you start getting deeper in the story, and you get a more divided world where you have. You got Harvey Keitel wasn't really much in this film, which was kind of my little nitpick on that problem. But anyways, you have the whole Al Pacino, and then you have over here you got Joe Pesci's character, and they're pretty much he's stuck in the middle because you start out with Joe Pesci, and then he was led to do something for Al Pacino, and then it becomes a divided thing. Great storytelling. I mean, Scorsese. I can't. When it comes to gangster films, he ain't gonna make them bad.
Yeah.
So, but I will say the one thing that kind of drew back a little bit on compared to his other films like Goodfellas and Casino was I did kind of feel like it was because this movie was real fucking long.
3.5 hours.
Yeah, and I will say that there was a lot of trimming they could have done, but I still love the movie overall. I think Robert De Niro was fucking phenomenal as the fucking Irishman dude killing motherfuckers everywhere.
Yeah.
What more can I say? It was shot good. It's Scorsese. The guy makes so fucking good movies. Really, what can I say?
Well, yeah, it's what I'm saying.
The performances were amazing. Great storytelling. Is it my favorite of his? No. I could say that it's up there with the rest of all of them. Again, it's a jumble mess. Man, which one? I love all these movies.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, my number 8 is The Irishman.
Fair enough. All right, now my number 7 is Toy Story 4. Going back what you said, this was a film that I was a little kind of skeptical at first because knowing how much 3 I enjoyed so much and ended on such a great finale, it was kind of hard in my mind to think, how would they do another one? And then when I started sort of seeing the trailers of it, it just kind of looked like, maybe it'll probably still be good, but not as good as others. After upon seeing it, I was actually blown away. I was like, these movies were able to keep going strong and being able to not only enhance the story like usual, but it gave us proper reason why they wanted to continue. And that emotional ending, man, just really got to me. It was basically like saying a goodbye to a friend. Seeing all those years you spend with them and everything,
and deciding to go separate ways.
Yeah,
and do your own thing.
Yeah, but I also got to give credit to a lot of the detail they put into it with a lot of the new areas they explore, when they go to the little carnival.
Yeah,
area.
it was nice seeing not the whole suburban house. We've already saw that in 3 films. It was nice seeing a carnival toy store type feel.
Yeah.
Kind of like, not to compare because it was dirty, Sausage Party.
Pretty much, yeah.
But the kids were, but in a toy store it was kind of cool. But like you were saying.
Well, if you look at it, Sausage Party was kind of taken from Toy Story 2, like that scene where they go in the shopping area. So it was kind of like that. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But anyway, the movie just had so much building upon it, and even some of my fan favorite characters, it's great to see them finally get relevance, especially with Bowen this time, because since she wasn't in 3, it was great that we got a really good arc with her character.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of great things I love they explored and given them in a satisfying way. So once again, Pixar does it again, and that's my number 7.
Okay, my number 7 is a film you brought up earlier, and it's Midsummer. It's a film that a lot of people hate, and then a lot of people love. And personally, if you've looked in history of me watching these films like Hereditary and stuff, you can kind of see me and him a little divisive. While I do give appreciation to originality, because that's what I love. I like to see something original and new and just different, and that's what A24 is really good at. However, me and him could be a little different on... I'm usually on the bad side because personally he loved Hereditary, loved it. I didn't really care for it. I get what it was going for, and I still enjoyed some certain things, but some of the artsy stuff really, I don't know how to explain it, A24-ish. I love their production company anyways. I will say I'm not bashing their production company at any way possible. I love their fucking company. It's just, I felt like fooling themselves.
Yeah.
They can make fool of themselves movies.
Well,
prestigious cinema.
Yeah, it's...
And sometimes I felt like it's try too hard.
Yeah, it's like trying to be full of itself. Because I don't like to use the word pretentious because that word gets overused.
Yeah.
But it's more of like a movie that's trying to be too more... It tries to think that it knows it's more...
Like, Hereditary was shockingly, like, you know, there were some scenes I was like, whoa. And just, I don't know, I felt like... Because I went and saw it with my girlfriend. Him and I didn't go together. And we kind of... I will admit I was a little bored with Hereditary, but we're not talking about that. Midsummer. I absolutely love this fucking movie. This actress who is up and coming.
Florence Pugh.
Yeah. We saw her in Fighting with the Family.
And she's going to be in Black Widow next.
And Black Widow next.
And she's also in...
I'm starting to take a big liking in her, well, both visually and acting skills. But acting skills, man, she's going to be... We're going to be seeing a lot of her, you can tell. And like you said, it's a horror story about breakup.
Yeah.
And... I love the whole cult feel it goes with this, and the whole bright colors. It's very unsettling. Like, you feel like you should be at a happy place, but there's something not right. And you feel it in your fucking spine. And really, the director did a phenomenal job.
It's the irony. It's like because Hereditary was all full of darkness. This
and you
one was
knew
full of lightness.
Yeah. Well, see, in the darkness, you already know something impending is going to happen.
This one was unexpected.
Nothing is more unsettling than seeing something so gloomy and happy, but you know there's something sinister behind it. And that's what really got me. And I love the cast in this film. And I'll tell you, some of the shit they do in this film, holy fucking hell, was this disturbing.
Yeah.
Like, this movie had my fucking jaw drop.
Yeah, there was... And it was able to get away with a lot of shit I couldn't believe. Like, they were to get away with...
And this is why I don't get about films sometimes. Because you get films like this that is very bloody, gruesome, disturbing in a good way. Like, I loved how disturbed it was. Shocking enough. I'm not nuts or anything. I'm just saying. But I don't get how films can do this. But then movies like It Chapter 2 had to be like cut down on certain death scenes.
Yeah.
I don't get that. But that's another story. But anyways, yeah, I love the whole entire... And they took a real festival, too, that really is... True, but not
to the extent.
Yeah, to the extent. And I think a lot of criticism came from that.
Yeah, it did suffer a lot of controversy surrounding the whole paganism thing.
Well, the paganism, but also that place where they do that festival.
In the Netherlands,
it's like Netherlands or Sweden or whatever.
Sweden, yeah.
One of the countries in Scandinavian countries or whatever. But anyways, they found that kind of offensive because it's actually a tradition they do.
Yeah.
And director turned into a horror, which I mean I'm not triggered or bothered by that. I mean,
no,
really, honestly,
something unique.
We always that's what movies do. They take something from something good in a horror genre and turn it. What if it was evil and sinister?
Yeah.
So I really don't. I mean, if it offends you, sorry. But anyways, yeah, the shit I saw in this movie was gruesome. Now, I heard there was actually a director's cut version where they couldn't release in theaters that actually showed way more detail in, like, that one guy getting skinned alive when he's wearing the fucking face, like Texas Chainsaw. There's supposed to be more footage.
From what I've heard, there is a director's cut where they added about 30 more minutes, and most of the footage they added was a lot of story development.
Well, story development, but I heard some of the gore, too. Not to mention one of my cons I did have, which was actually a pro con, because I thought Thane looked, that fucked up face figure looked cool. It's just, he was promoted and never really used it.
Yeah, he was only used like a couple scenes,
like a scene or two.
Like a flash of him.
I did hear that, like, they go in more detail with him, and like how he's like kind of pretty much reminiscent of Leatherface. Because he was the one that skinned the guy alive, you're supposedly thinking.
Well, either that or it was somebody else, because we don't get a clear shot of the guy that does it, but you get the idea that...
I think he's the one that was wearing the
No, I think it was somebody else.
I don't know. But it's been a while since I saw it, since opening
But that
night,
scene alone, man, that was fucking like, whoa.
Yeah, but anyways, that's my number 7, Midsummer.
Fair enough.
And we shared number 6 together, by the way.
And number 6 for both of us,
Dr. Sleep.
Stephen King's Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
Both the adaptation of Stephen King's book and also a continuation of Stanley Kubrick's version of The Shining. Now, already when I heard this movie was going to come out, I couldn't be more excited because keep in mind that even though, like we were discussing in our Dr. Sleep video, I realize that the original Kubrick version isn't as, it strays away so far from King's book. But even as it stands, as its own movie and everything, as a horror film, and even for what I've heard from some of his other book, it still takes the bare basics.
It's like this. When the Shining is kind of like one of the rare occasions where somebody adapts something you created and that person magically does better than what you wrote. I never read the book, so don't criticize me and say, wow, that's blasphemous. Why are you saying it's better than the book? I'm just saying, as far as culture and classic, you cannot deny that Kubrick made a fucking phenomenal classic that will forever be
its legacy
idolized.
Will definitely be
it's forever legacy, and I think it took many years, and Stephen King hates it. But I think he kind of lightened up a little bit now because he said that after how Dr. Sleep was, he felt like it made him like Kubrick's version a little bit more now.
It redeems aspects because the way that Mike Flanagan did the story this time, he had to take elements from the Kubrick version in order to adapt the story.
That was the biggest trickery ever, and this is probably probably the biggest trick as far as trailer releases I had of the year, because I honestly didn't think they had the balls to say it was going to be a sequel to Kubrick. So we're sitting here thinking, okay, I'm sorry, I hated that 96 fucking 95
97
miniseries. I'm sorry, I'm not a big fan of it.
I'm not either.
I did not like the guy. I like the actors and stuff in other films, but I didn't care for the Jack characters. I didn't care for the one that was supposed to be Shelley Duvall's character, Wendy. I did not care for the boy. I thought everybody in Kubrick's version creamed them. The story was boring and drawn out in the miniseries. The CGI was ungodly bad. I'm sorry, but it didn't even hold up a day later. It was that bad. I could call it I remember when it first came out on TV, I was like, ooh, no, no. And I'm just sorry. I mean, I will give you one thing. The ending was kind of clever.
And I get that if you're a big fan of the book, I can see the appeal of the miniseries for that follow the book more closer.
Yes.
I give you that. But as a movie standpoint, I mean, it's hard to compare against the miniseries, but on its structure, on the way it tells the story I felt like it was so padded out and just uninteresting.
Yeah.
It lacked any type of tension that it was trying to build up with.
Well, Kubrick probably made the best suspense film ever made.
Yeah.
I mean, you can almost ask 1 in 3 people, and they'll tell you Shining's in the top 5 most scariest films ever made. Now, scary, no, because I don't get scared at anything. I'm just saying.
But
as far as horror films, it's easily up there as one of the best.
But with Dr. Sleep, the movie not only was able to grive itself by making a great fucking movie on its own, but even able to basically, I can hold a candle next to the Kubrick version of Shining.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the movie makes a great double feature with it. Yeah. Not only was it great to see them continue the story with Danny as an adult, but just the movie feels like it's on 2 separate sides. You got Danny's story, and you got the actual villain story in this, Rose, who is doing their own thing, and it combines the best of both worlds from both the book and the other film.
I will have to agree that you don't see many films that can balance both villain and the hero in a good story, giving them both time and they both have balance. I think other than Avengers with Thanos.
Yeah, there's been some other ones.
There's some other ones, but it's not a common thing to do.
It's hard to do, basically.
Yeah, it's very hard to do, and I will tell you right now, great choice of casting, by the way.
Ewan McGregor
was Danny. And I will say that I was a little disappointed they couldn't maybe Photoshop Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, but I will say the kid from E.T. who plays Jack, and the girl they did choose from that looked like Shelley actually looked like fucking Shelley Duvall.
Yeah, she even sounded at her at one point.
Yeah, I will say they captured a lot of the visual effects of what we got from the beginning, from The Shining of Stanley Kubrick's, like the whole like detail with the walls being green from like the old 80s or late 70s, early 80s look. They did very good on the prequel part because they do start it off
where
right after
Yeah.
a day later or a year later or whatever.
Like, I think months later or something.
After the Kubrick version. And that, I love that they did that. They focused on right after that, then they jump.
Yeah.
And then we get to follow Ian McGregor, but we also get to see what Rose the Hat could do.
Yeah,
and
she is brutal. She's on the same level to me as fucking Pennywise in It Chapter 1 and 2. Because
I've never even read or even heard much about Dr. Sleep, the book
I've never
itself.
really read
so I didn't know what Rose the Hat was.
It's basically the equivalent if you took, like, vampires, but instead of, like, sucking blood, they're sucking their souls out of the Shining. Like, they're the Shining, like, Eaters. Powers they have, it gives them power. So it's basically like vampirism.
And it also keeps them alive, because if they don't, you saw on one of the Rose of the Hat's people,
they die of starvation.
Starvation.
So but she was.
But I will tell you right now, when it came to It Chapter 2 in this film, I will say that this film did more ballsier shit, because there was a scene where we had Jacob Tremblay, which I did not know was in this film. And there's a detailed scene of them slicing his chest open.
Yeah.
Holy fucking hell. I didn't think this film would do that. And I will be honest, I think that scene alone even topped what they try to do with It Chapter 2 in a lot of scenes, that while it is bloodier, there's a lot of cutaways in It Chapter 2 versus this one, which they were really slowly fucking... It reminded me of that scene off of RoboCop 2 where that cop gets
I remember that,
He's sitting there screaming and stuff.
But the movie just has so much going for it. Not only the atmosphere, the nostalgia, especially the third act, but also just the score. Like, it really is a love letter to not only Kubrick, but also I even hear that even... to an extent, it does cover the book of Dr. Sleep pretty well, too, from what I heard. The third act is really where it gears off, because they want it to follow more of Kubrick's film.
I'm sorry, I'm just a fanboy of the Kubrick's version so much that whenever time I seen a scene or a back history, or when he goes to the hotel, the Overlook Hotel, every little fucking detail of that hotel they brought up when he walks in the third act. Oh my fucking god.
But I gotta really appreciate them now that we actually get to see a whole fucking exploration of The Shining too. Because
they added on to
it builds so much on the
universe.
world. It builds so much on it too that
they probably could do a third movie or even more.
Yeah.
But I do feel like this ended very well, because again, the movie's been out a while, so we're going to talk about spoilers in this. Danny dies. Yeah. And I felt like it was more of a closure
story right there.
Because he becomes the new Scatman Crothers, because Scatman, remember, died in the first movie. He's in this movie. Well, he's not in this movie. A guy look-alike, because Scatman died in real life.
Well, Dick Hallorann is, in the book, he's still alive, but they had to change it for the Kubrick version. Yeah. So, he's technically... The story works
because in the book... he didn't get chopped up by Jack.
He didn't. He still lived.
Yeah, he lived. But I kind of like Kubrick doing that, because it was kind of a shock.
It was.
Yeah. So I prefer the shock and awe on Kubrick than keeping this guy alive in the book.
Yeah.
So, and he plays pretty much talking to Danny for the first half till he goes away. And basically he becomes the new ghost, talking to the little girl. And the girl did phenomenal. She loved her. Great. I loved her, man. She was perfect casting.
And Gregor Ferguson, she's not only beautiful, one of the most beautiful actresses in Hollywood, but also her menacing performance is so... It's going to be up there as one of the most scariest performances I've seen in horror films.
Exactly. So that's our number 6.
Yeah, that's our number 6 of Dr. Sleep. Now, my number 5 is going to be, he discussed earlier, The Irishman. A film that I was already anticipated actually for the last couple of years, actually for almost the last decade, because this is a film that was in development for so long, because Scorsese, there was a time when he did a period of movies with DiCaprio for a while that he wanted to actually work with De Niro for so long, but...
Well, De Niro, Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci as well.
Especially went into retirement, they all kind of spread it out, and so he had to find a new clan, and that's when he started doing The Departed with new people, Leonardo DiCaprio. Perfect choice to get Jack Nicklaus as his new villainous type guys in movies.
And I've always been a fan, like he was saying with Scorsese's movies. I've seen almost all of his really high end ones. There's still a lot I haven't seen fully, like Taxi Driver, but I have seen some of his other well known ones like Mean Streets finally, and those were good. So with this one coming out, it had so much hype because not only was I really looking forward to seeing everybody, including Al Pacino, for the first time working with Scorsese after a long period where he actually wanted to work with him, but things happened, and then getting Joe Pesci back.
Yeah.
And this is
I was shocked at Joe Pesci of all because this guy really does not play in movies.
No.
He will maybe come out and do one movie every 10 years.
Yeah.
5 to 10 years. I mean, pretty much he's established, I'm retired.
Yeah, because after Lethal Weapon 4, he pretty much gave up acting.
Which I'm wondering if he'll be able to and be wanting to, because they are announcing Lethal Weapon 5. And
That
it's
would be
bringing
interesting.
everybody back. Hopefully, Danny Glover with health issues.
Yeah.
But Joe Pesci, I would like to see go back.
I
on
know,
that.
it would be cool.
Yeah.
But already from the get-go, I was already hyped from it, and this movie blew me away in so many ways. This is how you make an epic gangster film work in so many ways. It's a lot more quieter than his other films were, because it's a lot more slower pace than his other like high-end gangster films. But it still takes its time for story, and it builds up with a lot of how much Frank Sheeran goes through with basically his story involving going from Joe Pesci to Jimmy Hoffa, and then eventually to his retirement days, basically.
And they did that was one of the best de-aging faces.
That was, It's a lot different because unlike, say, how Marvel does it, this one takes more of a thing where you're seeing more of like they basically smooth the faces more than say make them look like they were in the 90s or something. They took like more.
Basically, Scorsese spends a lot more time in detail than they do in Marvels, even though there's some good ones in Marvels. It's just not as great as what Scorsese did with this. And I will say that I'm actually on this level. What I loved about it was nice to see finally that they didn't rehash Joe Pesci being the cussing, out of control guy, which we see. I felt like that would have been repetitive. They'd done it again. Even though it'd been neat to see a new film like that again, it's just...
You could tell that they wanted to go for something different, which I appreciate because it's something that...
It was weird seeing him a calm guy.
Yeah, he was, but you can still tell his presence was there.
Yeah.
And not only was the film it was so investing of its story with the way it builds up with going through all these different... This guy's going through lifestyle for over 50 years, but just the tension that it builds and just out of this world performance, especially with Al Pacino making one of his best performances in years, that surprisingly both him and Joe Pesci have been nominated for Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars, so that's a plus.
Yeah.
And just, the way that Scorsese captures the production design too from the 50s and even onward, he really still hasn't lost his touch.
Yeah.
And, I especially love a lot of the way that they build in with some of the other scenes, like how we discover when Kennedy gets shot, things like that, things that the time frame has went by.
I'll tell you right now, the day that we lose Martin Scorsese is going to be a big jab in gangster genre, because that is going to hurt real bad.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the best to ever do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's shame because the film, I really wish we could have saw it in the theater because, unfortunately, the movie went to Netflix.
I don't understand why this film didn't go to mainstream. You can't sit there and argue that this film would not pull 200, 300, 400 million.
I could see why, from a distribution standpoint, I could see why, because originally Paramount and all them were supposed to do it, but the budget got really high, and over the years, they basically had lost their deal with Scorsese.
Well, maybe the production companies didn't want to take the risk.
Well,
I can see that, but still, this movie would have been $500 million in theaters.
Yeah,
I know it would have generated that. There's no fucking way you could not tell me it wouldn't. Look at fucking Goodfellas and Casino and his track record, and the fact that he brought back the OGs for one last time goodbye.
Yeah,
everybody's going to it.
Right, and if it hadn't been for Netflix, the movie probably would have had to end up probably going somewhere else. But granted, though, he at least got it to where it was still able to be released in theaters, but only limited. Yeah. But I could see if we lived in an alternate reality, I would have loved to see this come out in bigger fucking cities.
And probably the runtime is probably
that's also
why
because
they
theaters
release
don't play
theaters.
3.5 hour movies, so that's also another factor.
Yeah,
too.
that was another thing. It was the runtime. Now they do play 3 hour movies, but when it gets to 3.5, 4, they're not ready for that yet. So I think that was another reason why they didn't. But anyways,
yeah. But that's my number 5.
Okay. And my number 5 is a franchise that I grew to, I fell in love with. And it was actually funny because when I first met him, he actually introduced me to the first film, which I happened to miss. So I watched that, and ever since then, we have to go see these movies day one. And it is John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. And Keanu Reeves, what can I say? I love these movies. These are one of my, easily probably my top 15, 20 favorite action movies of all time. This is where, we get 1,000 fucking action movies a year. And about 999 won't do good. This one seems to know what it needs to be.
Yeah, and it's rare because as far as like straight up like action, like these type of movies, many of them go straight to video. But these movies were able to keep it fresh with the action. Keep it more. Even though they're more like. Well, I don't want to say independently made, but they're more on like a lower budget sort of feel. Yeah. They still feel like fucking fresh.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, they get better with each chapter. Love the first one. The second one even topped it, and the fucking ending, knowing that hell's about to break loose, and that cliffhanger right there. I love when movies do that.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. I do. I personally fucking loved it. I loved how they did that in Infinity War. But anyways, yeah. See, I was hyped for this movie because I knew, all right, now it's John Wick versus the world because everybody's coming after him, and man, the action sequences just seem to get fucking better. Again, just when you thought that, okay, they topped it. It's impossible. Holy fuck, they did it again.
And this time,
they seem to keep doing better, and they keep opening up a bigger world. It makes me really excited to what they're going to do. Which we are getting something called the Continental.
We are getting a spin-off.
Yeah. So they're opening up this world. Not only that, but man, the action sequences in this film, the shooting, the way Keanu Reeves, and it's weird because Keanu Reeves, while he's had some good older stuff, then about the 2000s and stuff, some 90s, 2000s, and now stuff that is just like, love movies and all that. And then the one we'll talk about in our worst stuff.
Yeah.
His choices make me question on what he does, but then when he does John Wick, it's now an iconic name. People now use it as a form of, John Wick your ass.
You're the fucking
you're the strong. You can, and then there's memes out there where it shows him beating Freddy and Jason's ass. And hell, you can make a comic book. He could be teaming up with Ash, and they could be our heroes, and they could defeat all of them.
Yeah, there's always those memes around. It's like, don't fuck with your dog, or you get John Wicked on your ass.
Or Thanos has a meme where Thanos is like, oh fuck, I snapped his
the dog.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is a natural born badass.
Yeah.
He killed a man with a fucking pencil.
Yeah.
A fucking pencil.
Kind of like what Joker did.
Yeah. And, well, anyways, yeah. And I love that they actually brought something up like that in this movie, and that too, like
it's like
Hallmark.
They actually bring up this fact. He killed a guy with a fucking pencil.
I love that they brought that back. But anyways, the villain, even I still enjoy the villains though in the 1 and 2. But I still like this guy.
Yeah, this
Asian
guy,
dude. Yeah,
yeah, he was pretty cool.
Yeah, but you get so many villains because the whole world's after him, and man, there's some twists and turns. I mean, there's some shit that at the end of the movie, like. Where there's a lot of betrayal, and you're like, whoa. Yeah. And then you get the whole twist where you think, okay, the guy that fucked you, he's going to help you now because he's, in a dilemma himself.
He's like...
And then he re-fucks you again.
Yeah. That one, I can see the criticism out, because that is one of my little things. I was like, yeah, because it kind of makes, in context of the story, that whole scene where he's going to that guy in the desert, it makes you wonder, like... Yeah. I wonder what he probably would have done if he did a different choice, because it seemed like the choice he made was kind of questionable. Like, kind of made the when he. No,
I'm talking about his friend.
That result, because he was there to pretty much.
Because he ends like, "I'm not going to help you. You're fucked."
Yeah.
And then he stays with that tone, and then halfway, that guy's in a dilemma himself, and he's basically led to have to help John Wick. Only to re-fuck him again, but that ending with Lawrence Fishburne is what really got me.
And what's funny? That's the funny thing. They're actually, and I don't know if this is 100% confirmed, but they've said we're getting seeing them two together again for Matrix 4 and John Wick 4 the same fucking day in 2021.
Yeah.
So be expecting them two to pop up in 2 different movies.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, it was nice to see like old characters and new ones introduced. It just builds this like unsettling world. I mean, it's even nice seeing that Butler type guy keep coming back. A small role he plays a vital role in the story, in my opinion.
But in this one, he had like a kind of like a bigger, kind of role.
But I felt like I love the intense. I mean, both films, the other previous movies were intense. But golly, you're at the edge of your fucking seat this whole.
What's he gonna do next?
Because you got to think any little time he turns, boom, 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 boom,
yeah.
boom, boom.
The movie just doesn't stop.
The fucking gun shooting scenes and the way that Keanu Reeves actually spends time with this character. I wish he did this in his other films, because the guy shows that he could be iconic in everything he does. And John Wick is his household name now. He's now typecast. This is his best movies, because everything else, I mean, it's very hit and miss. And it's weird that a guy like this that can really go to a gun range and learn can fucking be so bad in another movie.
Yeah, because he's basically pulls the equivalent where he's more of a physical type guy, where he gets into with the action. But as far as like other performances, depending on the level, he's either miscast or the roles like fucking. One of my least things I like about Bram Stoker's Dracula. But I love that movie. Just I could see why he was miscast in that. There's certain choices he makes as far as roles.
Yeah. So, anyways, the shooting scenes, the visual effects were phenomenal in this film. Oh my god, the whole glass scene was probably my favorite part with him and that Asian dude going at it.
Beautiful.
Oh my god, this movie is very purple, dark blue. It's like a rave type feel, and that's what the other movies went kind of for. So
the first one kind of reminded me of like if you took a cross between Collateral and I remember you saying it was like if you took the world of Constantine, which is another underrated film of his, and put Collateral in that kind of setting. It kind of feels like that basically.
But anyways, John Wick 3 Parabellum was so fucking phenomenal. I can't wait to see what 4 is going to be like, because it ends on another great cliffhanger. Mm-hmm. So these movies are never ending. They'll just be hell. They'll probably start writing comic books now about John Wick. He's now a household iconic name. So that's my number 5. Now for the first time, and this is a rarity. I mean, we'll share a movie together a lot, but 4, 3, 2, and our best of, we actually have the same in order, so we're going to do the 4, 3, 2, 1 together in one setting. So with number 4, I'm going to announce it. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, directed by no other than
Quentin Tarantino. And that's also my number 4. So what can we say? This is another film that was already.
Now it's starting to get hatred.
Yeah. Now this is a film that. Not only was it controversial based on the
Sharon Tate,
based on the stuff with Sharon Tate, but also the Bruce Lee stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's a film that I can see some of the problems that some people have with it, because it's a different type of Tarantino film where, because I'm a big Tarantino film myself. Like I don't dislike Death Proof, but it's my least favorite because I feel like it's not on par with his other movies.
It feels very out of place, out of sync compared to what he's known for. But honestly, I think he's one of the best directors in Hollywood. Not the best, but I'm saying one of the best. Yeah. The guy does not want to make something that we see on a daily basis. He literally takes fucking something and changes history. We saw it with Inglourious Bastards. Fucking love that movie.
Yeah,
and that's what he likes to do. He likes to make something different, something feel odd.
Yeah,
and just fun.
And with this one, since I heard it coming out, I just couldn't be more hyped, because I love the fact that he was going back in that old style '60s Hollywood era, where you got to see the way TV stars worked and stuff like that, and.
I think people were misconcepted, and if you're not familiar with Quentin Tarantino, he's not going to go for a straightforward movie. So I think people were pissed that, we didn't get to see Charles Manson, we were supposed to see Sharon Tate die. People were expecting formula stuff. They were wanting formula stuff. And that's, if you're not a Quentin Tarantino fan, you're not going to get that. I'm sorry. This guy is what makes him such a profound fucking director. because he's gonna take something, he's gonna make it batshit awesome.
Yeah, and in the way that the movie developed its story too, I feel like it worked in everything with that because really, I mean, I knew from the get-go it wasn't going to be about, you know, the Sharon Tate murder or the Sharon Tate story and everything. 'Cause I knew that he wanted to focus more on just Hollywood in general because it's really just about Hollywood. It's about his love letter to Hollywood because it's about Rick Dalton and Cliff's story about how they're having to make it in. Sharon Tate basically represents what she idolized as the glamorous style that Rick Dalton wants.
Yeah.
With DiCaprio once. So it works in that type of metaphorical
There's a lot
sense.
of metaphorical if you know Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
It's going to be like that.
Well, besides his foot fetish, which is on a different level.
Yeah. But anyways, the metaphor stuff he's really big on. And yeah, you do. I loved Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. Their chemistry is some of the best of the year, in my opinion.
But
as far as duets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, besides Ford vs. Ferrari with...
Yeah, well, them too.
Yeah. But yeah, I got you.
I actually thought that, you know, if I had to pick one of the other, Leo and fucking Brad Pitt is my favorite. But, oh my God, again, Quentin Tarantino's got great timing with this comedy, blending in a great story being told. Now, it is changed the story, but it's an alternate universe.
But I love how they were able to also take footage of like old school movies and TV shows and put Rick Dalton in those scenes with DiCaprio in them.
Yeah, another thing I did like was watching a movie in a movie.
Yeah.
We watched movie sets. I mean, it's very Hollywoodish. That's what I loved about it.
You know,
seeing old westerns, seeing old school, because this setting is around the Charles Manson time, and at this time you get to see spot-on actors such as the guy from The Blob.
Yeah. What's his name? Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
The people that's in the background, and when they're introduced just for a split second, they pick some of the spot-on fucking actors that sound and look like them. I was like, my God. Especially when they go to Hollywood parties and they see, like, whoa, what the fuck?
I know.
It looks just like fucking Steve McQueen.
Yeah, and you got, you know, the guy who played Bruce Lee. Now, granted, when he doesn't look exactly like Bruce Lee, but, I mean, his performance, his demeanor, his performance, I think that he really did well. Even though it was an alternate universe, I still thought the actor
I know people were offended by that. They thought it was a mockery more than anything. And people were kind of... This is the part where I get where people... I'm going to get to where people are now fighting over. Like, I could go in the comment section, bring this up, and this will start a fucking World War III. And it's the... they feel like, oh, Eddie, you calling this an alternate universe is escape from reality, that this movie was an insult.
Yeah.
It's an alternate reality.
It's a fantasy.
It's a fantasy.
Because Tarantino said this.
Honestly, if he was to make a movie about two guys who were in Hollywood at the same time that Sharon Tate, and then we know that there's actors that really lived with Sharon Tate and was associated with her right before her death, and we knew Charles Manson and his angels fucking killed her. Would you want to see something that you already know the ending to?
Well, because you know what he would do, right?
Yeah.
It would basically be what you call glorifying that type of level.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do
I
that
actually think that he pays respect. I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of people might disagree on on opinions. We all got our own on the mockery part, but personally, I think he pays respect.
He does.
I think he's like, would you? I mean, really think about it. Your family is Sharon Tate. She's fucking dead. Wouldn't you love to fantasize what if she would have been the one that killed them?
Yeah, because...
So I think Quentin Tarantino does that. He did with Inglourious Bastards. Hitler's a piece of fucking shit that I would love to watch a fucking video of his torture. So I get it with Tarantino. That's what Tarantino's doing, and I love what he's doing.
And it's even the title, because Tarantino spin itself. Once Upon a Time is what they use in fairy tales, so it's clearly a fairy tale type movie.
Exactly.
But anyway, like we were saying, like the other ways that they put in the whole behind the scenes stuff. It reminded me. Remember that movie you watched, the Hail Caesar? It was kind of like on that with the whole making of thing, but on a better level, basically.
Yeah, way better level. But anyways, I love the story. But then it starts getting into the Charles Manson,
dark shit,
the Charles Manson shit, and I was really into that. I was like, man, this is...
it pays it off in the fucking ending.
And I will tell you right now, Brad Pitt's character, when he starts snooping around the fucking Angels little area, the Charlie's Angels. Look, fuck that. I think that's what he called them, his Angels.
Yeah, his Angels.
His followers. But anyways, he goes to their little sadistic fucking cold ranch, and that was stolen by an actor in the movie.
It was actually supposed to be played by Burt Reynolds' last role, but he died before he could do it. And he went.
But anyways, he goes in there, and they're sitting there, and you kind of get kind of intense, like, oh my god, we're gonna. Knowing Tarantino, I was like expecting Brad Pitt to fucking die.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, man, it's getting kind of, because they're all kind of getting tense.
Yeah.
Why is this guy snooping around and stuff? And then when we get to the third act, where you start getting kind of remind me with the druggy scenes and the drinking scenes, kind of remind me of Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, that shit.
Yeah.
He's like, can I help you?
Where they're all fucked up, and then the Angel's there, they're at the wrong house.
Yeah.
And he starts fucking, they're trying to kill him and stuff.
He's trying to be like, bang, you're dead. Or
yeah. Yeah. Fucking Leo just, that guy could do anything,
he's like,
man.
get out of my fucking house.
In fact, I actually want to see him do more comedies.
I do too.
Because Wolf of Wall Street, I will tell you right now, that movie has
that's his most
ribs.
comedy physical level.
Yeah.
You know.
That movie had my ribs broke when I watched that movie. The guy needs to do, and he does it in this film, and it's fucking hilarious. And I loved how he played that old Western guy.
Yeah.
But I love the story, like, as a downfall of losing his
fame as a television star.
He's out of his prime, so he's going down, and people are going and looking at other people rising, and he wants to be up there again. And I love that story. So don't want to spend too much time on just one movie. So yeah, that's our number 4, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now number 3 is a film we actually didn't get to see until the new year,
pretty much the beginning of this year or the middle of this year. And that's a film that I was actually looking forward to, especially trailers. And in plus, I'm a big fucking fan of this director.
Yeah.
Sam Mendes's 1917, a film that
is based off a true story.
Yeah, it's actually based in partially an account of his grandfathers who served in World War One.
We don't see many World War One films.
Yeah,
it's always World War II.
There were some movies back in the day that were hit and miss that came out. But as far as most recently, the last one I can think of that used its war setting was Wonder Woman.
And this movie right here, even though Sam Mendes, I mean, what can I say? He's like one of my, I find him very underrated director.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, he's directed one of probably my top 10 favorite films of all time, American Beauty. I mean,
too.
The guy's fucking list is just phenomenal. And he really spends a lot of time. Because you don't see him do much.
Yeah, he does other movies like in between, like of his bigger stuff. But as far as Hollywood, he goes like almost 3 or 5 years without a movie.
Like, I won't be surprised that his next film won't be until 2025.
Yeah, because his last movie before this, at least that was big, was Spectre, and then before that was Skyfall. So he takes a lot of time, but he puts a lot of craft into it. And even some of his more like lesser known movies, like Road to Perdition, he still like has a lot of great fucking talent as a director.
Despite him being the director, get into the story. This film, I thought it'd be good. Maybe like not as bad as Midway, but I thought it'd been something that wouldn't make our list. But upon seeing when we went and watched the film, this drew me by fucking surprise. I will tell you, I walked out like shocked.
This was
how good this movie was. These guys, this movie accomplished taking people who ain't done much in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Let's admit it, they've never done much, even though maybe 1 or 2's done something.
Yeah.
Until we get to the A-listers who play cameos. It was weird seeing that.
Yeah.
A-listers play cameos, newcomers playing the main characters. We follow 2 soldiers who have to go behind past enemy lines to deliver a message that an attack is impending by the Germans.
Yep. And these guys, they really pulled it off. And not only was this movie we'll get to the technical stuff, because this movie was not only a technical achievement, but it was also one of the best war movies that I've seen, and probably since Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah, it's
like
one of the best. It is the best war movie I've seen since Hacksaw Ridge and Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, even though I enjoyed Dunkirk, but on a different level, this movie was like
I think this movie topped Dunkirk in my opinion.
Yeah, it definitely was.
But going to it, man, the visual effects were fucking amazing. The set piece of World War I is
authentic.
Oh my god, it's so authentic. I look at it and I'm like, how did you accomplish this in such a good way?
Yeah.
How were you able to do this? It feels like I'm watching World War I
Exactly.
It's so intense.
It put me on the battleground like I was with Saving Private Ryan on that authentic, hard edge type like setting.
And like he said, this film does not win editing in the Oscars. I'm gonna be pissed.
Unfortunately, I found out it did get nominated for best editing,
which is a crime.
It got snubbed.
Okay, it did get snubbed. Then that's a fucking crime of itself. Because I'll tell you right now, this is probably one of the best editing films I've seen in a very long time. I don't know, if not, probably top 10 best editing films I've ever made. Because this film, shockingly, was edited so good. People were assuming this was done in one take.
It definitely felt like it.
Yeah.
But it was like a break in between because there's a part where it fades to black and then it comes back up.
And it gives you round two.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's smart though.
That was smart because it's technically a cut, but it's more of like following the next act, basically.
Yeah. A different
It's
story.
basically like a short intermission as it stands.
I think he did that on purpose, and I loved it.
Yeah, but also the movie, like the cinematography by Roger Deakins, one of the best cinematographers, because he's the guy who worked on Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah,
he really captures it really to the really bleak World War I setting, and also I got really hated that fucking score because Thomas Newman, he captured the emotions to a T.
I will tell you this, even though another film on our list is going to be, we'll talk about that in a second. I will admit that I thought 1917 was the best score I heard all year, hands down, the best score. I actually was so haunted by that fucking score. Like, it really drew me in. And another thing, the way that they shot this film made me feel like I was part of the war.
Yeah.
I love that direction. That was something I hardly ever fucking seen.
Because you're in their perspective the entire time, and the movie
despite video cameras not existing back in the day,
it would have been cool.
But still, you almost feel like you're following them
on their footsteps.
Yeah, so it was pretty fucking intense.
Man, just the intenseful moments too. Like there are things that come out unexpected, which I'm not gonna spoil for those who haven't seen it.
It's still
recent. Yeah. But let's just say the movie doesn't hold back. Like there's
vulnerability.
Yeah, and also some emotional stuff too. Was on a more personal level in this one compared to Dunkirk. Yeah. Because even though it's more of an event type of movie, it still follows these guys and their way of getting through the war.
Exactly.
And like the movie just doesn't hold back. Like it's got so much going along with the war.
Talk about a movie.
The grittiness is there too, with all the decaying bodies and shit.
Yeah, there was some very disturbing shit I saw in this film, and if it hits you on this level, that means it did its job. It shows you what war is. And war is not kind. To see their decaying babies and children, they actually show that.
And they show how pale fucking face they are,
Oh my god, and there's this part where the guy falls in water and he's trying to get out, and when he does, he sees bodies floating, and the whole where if you drown, you actually blow it up. From all the water, just and you become like this big fucking blob thing, and there's bodies just floating like that just recently. And it shows how brutal the Germans were.
Exactly.
And what the world could have been had we have lost these world wars. So, man, it gives you a reality check, and it was a great story. And man, honestly, if it wasn't for these two films that we're about to mention in front of it, I would love to see this film being my favorite film of the year. Man, honestly, I had nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, and I'm glad to at least heard that Sam Mendes has been nominated now for Best Director and I think Best Picture as well.
Yeah, not to mention they did the Golden Globes, and he actually won a bunch of Golden Globes for Best Director and Picture. I think it won both.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's what it did. So, yeah, that's number 3, 1917. Go watch it.
Definitely.
All right.
Now we get to our number 2, one of the other films that was our most anticipated, and surprisingly, another a DC film that
pays homage to Martin Scorsese too.
But also, it's a film that takes its own merits, while derivative, still fresh. And that movie is Joker. A film that already, when I was hearing the behind the scenes about this, I couldn't be more excited. Look, I've loved Joker in a lot of different incarnations and stuff, and when they got
it's one of my favorite comic book villains of all time.
Yeah, absolutely, and the fact that they were going to take a angle outside of the DC Extended Universe really made me think, okay, maybe we'll get something a lot different compared to what we've seen.
And just a note for self is, And when they were going to go for like the whole Taxi Driver, Scorsese-ish type film, well, funny enough, he was the original director for it, and Leo was supposed to be the Joker.
Yeah.
But I love Leo.
It would have been interesting.
But I think they did right with this.
Yeah.
But Scorsese would have been neat being director.
Yeah.
But Todd Phillips, man, did he nail this out of the park.
It was definitely outside of his norm, because he's more for comedy.
Yes. Shit. The guy who I literally saw say, I'm here for the gangbang, directed Joker. Wow, and I didn't realize that for a while. I was like, oh my god.
That's
the guy
the director.
Yeah, that's the director. Damn, who would known the guy who says, I'm here for the gangbang, would make an iconic film like this.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, Joaquin Phoenix performance, oh my god.
It is haunting.
Oh my
He is
god.
on a whole
He
other
nailed
level.
it. He fucking nailed it. In fact, if he wins Best Actor, I'm happy.
I am too.
He fucking went so detailed in mental illness that he actually studied it and went to a sane asylum hospital.
Yeah, I think so.
And then he actually met with a guy who has the laughter disease, because they went for a unique laughter. Instead of the whole laughing gas, this, that, we've seen it all. We get a disease that causes him.
Yeah.
And it's painful. And the way he made himself just shrivel to fucking bone.
Where he ate an apple a day, basically, to lose weight.
Oh my god, man. And his craziness, you see him deteriorate. The story does so good watching a guy with mental illness holding it in the closet and just getting worse and worse until he explodes.
Yeah.
And that is fucking great storytelling.
It is.
And I will tell you right now, I think Joaquin Phoenix deserves his spot up there with Heath Ledger.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think Heath Ledger does better than this, and I still think Joaquin does better.
Yeah, they have their own unique personas.
Yes.
Same thing with Jack Nicholson, how each Joker has their own unique take, and I think that Joaquin Phoenix, he is on a more like...
I will admit that out of all Jokers, I'm not a big fan of Leto.
I understand.
I'm not a fan of it.
No,
but everybody does have their own
merits.
If
you're going by just voice, I would prefer Mark Hamill. But as far as like live action, yeah, they're on like their own unique persona, because he not only took a guy that was able to, you could pretty much like, I don't want to say like, basically on a more realism. I mean, even though Heath was on realism too, I'm just saying like a guy a more like everyday type of guy in a way who just has mental illness. Basically.
Now, when they told us that they were going to just stray away and do their own origin, that ain't going to be no merits and stuff, we were kind of disappointed in that at first. But then when we saw how the film ended, we were like, ooh, he's got tricks up his sleeve. I think they're pulling something, because there's also rumors going around that they might be putting him in Robert Pattinson's universe finally. Maybe.
We don't know.
Maybe.
Because
it was a leaked footage of supposedly Todd Phillips talking about that's why he did that ending, to give it a chance. If this did so well, we might, because you got to think the Robert Pattinson one is taking kind of a similar approach.
It's in the 90s.
Well, it's taking a similar approach as far as like Detective Scorsese.
It's going for more of a film noir type film.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is kind of like
it's
that
more
too.
It's more of a neo noir.
Well, they're trying to make them similar on purpose, and I'm thinking that's what they're doing. And I'm glad that they're keeping it under wraps and just saying no. It's its own film.
The only thing we have confirmed is that Todd Phillips. They have announced that they are going to consider doing a sequel, because that's what.
Yeah, that's going to be on its own. But I think. I'm wondering if we're going to get because you got to think, this movie surprised all of us.
It did.
Especially with the ending with Bruce Wayne.
And the fact that
they were going to
do it. The Joker actually, making a society who's all anarchy actually
and cause the death.
Which actually I heard, there was actually an original ending they had in mind where Arthur was actually going to kill Bruce Wayne and his parents. They were just going to kill all of them, including Bruce. But I can see why they didn't want to go with that, because it would have been a little too much, probably.
I actually like the way they ended, because I want this to be the new Joker. I'm sorry, I'm not a Leto fan. I think he's fucking horrible. Not as bad as Jesse Eisenberg as fucking Lex, but still, I don't care for the emo.
Right, I think
gold teeth. I really don't care.
I think it's more of like with him, he just didn't. Really
I like the more serious, darker tone.
No, I do too. But I'm saying if he was done in the future film that could do him better, I can see what you're
Well,
saying.
I'm saying Leto,
I hear what you're saying.
as an
For now, he's
actor,
good for right
Leto's a good actor, and if I think it was more direction of other people than his direction. Because I think that they told him to do... Because Warner Brothers can be that type of fucking place that tells you, no, you're going to change and go this direction.
Well, they cut a lot of scenes out, too. So
that didn't help. But I don't even care for the design.
No, I know, I got you.
So I'm already fucking not sold on the design.
But with Joaquin, though,
yeah.
he was able to, like, not only feel that basically doing what Walter White does in Breaking Bad. Guy kind of starts out kind of normal, but then he slowly deteriorates and becomes pretty much just, like, society fucks with
And
him.
honestly, that's how pointing at society today, because the world is becoming a crazy place.
I'm not gonna say anything, but I've dealt with people that honestly kind of reminded me of Joker. He'll tell you about it if you ever talk to us outside of here. I've dealt with somebody like that.
Yeah, right. That's a personal.
That's a personal thing, but
the world is a crazy place, and I think that the fact that it's pointing at mental illness, and it wasn't making fun of mental illness people.
No,
the ones who thought this movie was, it is actually trying to say, look what happens when you fuck with somebody, and you gotta understand that some people don't have it as good as other people. Some people try to change and they can't. Some people are fucked up, and when you push somebody to the brink, you know, you can fuck somebody up real bad.
Yeah.
And you don't think that you can abuse them physically, mentally, whatever, verbally, and it can hurt them. And not only that, Joker also, Joaquin Phoenix, had the story of his backstory of how he was fucking raped and tied to a fucking
and his mother just laughed at him.
And his fake mother,
laughed at him. Yeah.
And he never had a mom, so he doesn't have a mom and dad. And that was the breaking point.
Yeah, and the fact that score too was just so like haunting and just
I did
too.
I'm not a big artsy fan, but I'll say that artsy thing where he's always dancing
in the mirror and stuff.
I actually like that.
I know because it shows how much he enjoys like getting pleasure out of it. Basically,
I loved at the end where they basically paid off from the Return of Joker. I think it was
Dark
Knight Returns, where he killed the
host on television,
which was. Again, Robert De Niro.
Oh yeah, he's like, "How about another joke, Murray?"
That whole weird talk. It was weird. But
he's like, "To everyone, a good night and have a smile."
Yeah, I thought he was really going to do what he did.
Where he was going to do more.
Well, they actually said that they cut it out because they didn't want to copy. They were actually originally going to have him look at the camera and say, "Why don't y'all just smile?"
Yeah.
And just or something similar to the Dark Knight, and they thought, ooh, let's change that. To Nolan.
They cut him off too easily, though. I was like, oh, they could have had more.
I wanted to see him say something, because it reminded me of Heath Ledger when he did that. But I think Heath would be proud of what he saw. I think he would give his blessing.
Yeah. So Joker, that's our number 2.
And our best film of 2019
is the movie, obviously, Avengers Endgame, the film that celebrates 22 movies in this franchise,
and it comes to an end.
Well, in its main story arc with the Avengers.
Yes.
And the movie paid off in so many ways that I was already a big fan of Avengers Infinity War, and I've enjoyed the other two.
Yeah.
They've had some problems like with the other two on some merits, but I love Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
When I first heard they were going to put Thanos in from all the other MCU films,
and calling him the badass,
the ultimate
badass. He's the final boss. Well, if you read, you know Thanos is the It Man.
Yeah.
And you know, okay, we're finally here. We're at the end. And when we saw Infinity War, that was also a favorite film of ours a couple years ago, or last year. My bad. But anyways, the fact that had the balls to leave a cliffhanger of everybody dying, that blew me the fuck away.
Yeah, even though we knew how they would bring them back, we knew they would come back in the next one.
No,
just the novelty, just the fact that they killed them off and they showed the devastation,
and then killed everything and then said the end. I'm like, that's ballsy for a fucking Marvel movie. And I loved Infinity War, and coming in this film, Endgame, of course, this was our number one hype. Almost everybody was hyped for this film. This is waiting for it to happen. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you right now, it paid off. It was a great goodbye. It was one big goodbye. And to see the devastation after what Thanos did was
just so much emotion. Because
in fact, the opening really got me, because you expect this like happy music, like they always do
No.
that. But this one just suddenly just opens, and then
there's no music.
there's nothing. It's just complete silence, and then you see
Hawkeye's
family evaporate.
Deteriorate. Oh shit!
Like this film's going dark. Holy shit!
Yeah, and
wow, I didn't even see the opening title doing the little thing where it's happy. It's like, okay, we mean business in this one.
Yeah, and then after like the first like 15 minutes or so, we pretty much get a period where our main characters, they have a lot more time to breathe basically, because they're having to rebuild 5 years after the events, and they're having to pretty much rebuild everything, and you see the trauma that everything had led. Whether it's Ant-Man almost losing his daughter, or almost you're seeing Iron Man developing have his own daughter and everything.
Well, first you get Iron Man evaporate into space, thinking that's it for him.
Yeah, because he was on like his last fucking like
breath
basically,
yeah.
and then it wasn't until Captain Marvel showed up.
Yep.
But but that's the other thing. We'll get to it later. But this movie pulls the fucking emotions hard. Yeah. Like we'll get to
this
it.
Is probably the biggest tearjerker film of the year.
Because this movie it pushed the stakes, not only what Thanos did with the snap, but also even after they're trying to rebuild everything, they realize that the movie has to pretty much fix the things that Thanos did by developing what I understand can be quite questionable with the time travel plot. Which I actually, honestly agreed with why they had to do with that approach. Yeah. They had to go back to the other films' events, like Back to the Future 2.
Yeah, but anyways, getting back to the story, it was a great conclusion to what we've been watching since 2008. It was a great goodbye. And personally, I get that we want more and do the side stuff and all this, but personally, I think this was this was the goodbye. This is the end right here, in my opinion.
It was
because I have a hard time seeing who else is going, not rehashing how someone's going to top that. Half the world died.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. We lost half the Avengers. We watched them fucking die.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you get that fucking
Not to mention,
crazy?
It was very emotional here because not only did we lose that in that one, but we lose some fucking big ones in this.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, the story just it enhances new things with the world that they set up too.
What I also enjoyed was also they did like the whole like where it's years later, Captain America and whoever's left of the survivors are pretty much suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah,
especially they're fucked it. Like they're so like depressed. That's like Captain America he's basically having like what these people that survived, and you can see the devastation around the world. They kind of created their own like meetings, and where they can talk about the days of losing all their loved ones, and you can show that they're pretty much gone. They're done.
And what I really appreciated, I love that, especially it shows how much like damage it did with him, and everyone around him. What I also got to appreciate, and I'm actually one of the few that enjoys this. I loved what they did with Thor, like the way that he's dealing with pretty much his alcoholism and depression. Well, in a different way, where he's a lot.
I know they went with a goofier route, where he's funny.
I still bought it. I still bought he would do that.
He's funny, but
it still
at the
shows.
Same time, you can see when he goes to scenes where he goes back in time, talks to his mother and all stuff, and when they tried to calm him down, his hatred for Thanos is. He wants that motherfucker now. Yeah. Like, he just, that's, his cure is hatred. Yes. I want to kill him. He's so fucked up. Like, even when they were like, hey, when you get that sequence where they could go back and kill Thanos, where they tricked us at that beginning, he was like...
He's like, I went with the head. I went for the head.
Yeah, like, he really wanted to be a part of that. First, he was like, I'm done. I don't care. He was
depressed.
He was just so down. And I love how they dug deep on the downward. Like, everybody.
And that was got a really good credit to Hawkeye, because Hawkeye goes full road in this, and he becomes, probably at his most darkest hour.
Yeah, his darkest.
Where he starts doing, assassination missions.
Yeah, he starts
for freelance.
And he pretty much lost his family, and he has no hope. And when... not Scarlet Witch. Black Widow tries to talk to him about, come with us. We have a way of stopping this. He's like, don't give me hope. Like, he's lost all hope. Yeah. And basically, I love how the buildup of everybody coming together and realizing that Ant-Man, he's pretty much what gives everybody the feel of, oh my God, like, we have one more shot at this.
We can do this.
Yeah, because we find out if you watched Ant-Man and the Wasp, he has a quantum leap where he can actually travel and they can go back in time and fix a lot of things, which was kind of cool because we go see old school movies.
The first Avengers and even some other movies like the first Guardians of the Galaxy and all that. So the movie also was able to even fix some of the continuity issues in those movies and do a favor. But
not only that, introduce possible new stuff in the future.
Yeah. But the biggest strong for me, and the reason why this movie holds one of the many reasons why this movie is also my number one. When we get to our final fucking climax, it was on the same level as going balls out. To
superhero wise, I think that is the best climax.
It's got the most epic scale you could ever imagine, where they go full on, bringing everyone in on it. Now, if I was a fan, if I was in my own like alternate world. You know, I would have gotten every superhero that they bring back comes back from the snap because they redo it. I would have brought back X-Men, Daredevil, all the other superheroes we've seen in other films join in from Marvel.
That would have been
the most epic
if they had all of them and they had these guys in the background. Hey, y'all need help? And it's fucking X-Men and all them. That would have been fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Holy shit. If they would have done that, that would have just had people like jumping in fucking ceilings and shit. But yeah, this epic scale battle, man, I like how they make sure that the heroes ain't too strong.
No, because
they're still Captain Marvel, Captain America. You can feel like he grabs the fucking hammer and he can fucking do it now. He was the one that could hold Thor's hammer the entire time. Anything, and still Thanos is beating the fuck out of them. I love the vulnerability is still there, and they didn't overshoot it with the whole, well, Captain Marvel's the most powerful thing on the world.
They show, like, because even when she gets her ass beaten, she gets flown away in fucking space. No wonder she didn't show up.
Yeah, and you see actual blood.
Yeah, because you see Captain America's beating the shit out of him,
No, you see his blood.
Like, everywhere.
Fucking...
like scrolling down.
Yeah, his nose, his mouth was busted open. You see Captain America really fucking injured.
Yeah.
And, you see Captain America really, really injured in this. And then I had this film, and then while the battle's going on, it was so happy to see everybody come back and give one last go at it.
Avengers Ensemble.
Assemble.
Assemble.
Whenever it says Avengers, assemble. And the classic line. And then, as it gets deeper into the fight, I start getting this tingle at my back. I'm like, something is going to happen.
Yeah.
Something is going to happen. I have this feeling something's going to fucking happen. And sure enough, we go back to Infinity War where you have Doctor Strange talking to Iron Man. He says, we're at the end game now. There's something. He's not going to tell you. He doesn't tell him, but he goes, there's one choice. And he basically can tell in their eyes what it means. We didn't know what it meant, but we knew, he knew what it meant. And sure enough, that eye came back. That same scene when he looks at him, does that.
The one finger.
That one finger. This is it. And lo and behold, Iron Man has to sacrifice himself.
He basically
snaps Thanos. Payback, bitch. But
he's like, I am inevitable. He's like, and I am
Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Boom. And I knew, because they say that if anybody else does it, they die. Yep. And I was like,
Hulk barely survived with that too, because he had it and he had to snap everyone else back.
They've already
because
said,
he had gamma ray to survive.
I think Hulk is the only one that could possibly survive it
because he was subdued to the gamma.
Yeah. So anyways, when Iron Man did it, knowing he doesn't have those type of powers, I was like, oh no. It's good because I get to watch Thanos fucking get his fucking payback, bitch.
Yeah.
But then they get the most saddest scene I've seen.
I cried. I did.
Everybody cried.
I cried.
This is probably the most sniffless fucking theater I've ever been into. And it's when Iron Man, and I actually give him balls for this. He looked like Two-Face. He was burnt to the crisp.
And he couldn't even melted.
And he's like, and then you're like, oh no, he's gonna die. And you have everybody, and you see him and Spider-Man one last time.
He's crying in front of him.
It's like losing Uncle Ben again.
Yeah, he was basically his Uncle Ben.
Yeah, and I think that's what they're going for, since they didn't show us the Uncle Ben thing. This was the Uncle Ben. But anyways, seeing that, and then that long goodbye
of everyone showing up at his funeral and
and
they
the
show his
music.
heart
Yeah.
in his chest.
And we lose Iron Man.
And we see everyone there from the other films show up at the funeral.
And that's a long goodbye.
Yeah. And
22 movies and it's over with.
Yep.
And to say goodbye to our OG Avengers.
The one that started all, Iron Man.
And to see him die. And then we get to the scene where pretty much we already learned, we learned in Far From Home, but I already knew it in here, where Captain America goes back in time to be with his girl from the first Avenger. And he shows up very old. Pretty much knows that he's about to die.
Yeah, and he ends up giving his shield away to... Now, I looked into it because at first I was kind of thinking, like, why did he give it to
Not
Falcon?
his best friend.
But then I realized, like, wait, I know why now. Because knowing that Bucky pretty much became a villain. No, but because he was pretty much wanted by the government, but he settled down with Wakanda. In context-wise, I see why he did it. But if it was me personally, I would have given him the shield because that's his best friend. But I see why they did it for Falcon.
You gotta think
he was the closest
they
one.
built so many movies on him and his best buddy Bucky.
Yeah.
Like, you would think that Bucky was his brother in real life, like real brother, or at least his dad. Somebody that close to him. That's how much Captain America loved him.
Oh, I know.
He adored him. In fact, when he was the Winter Soldier as a villain, he refused to hurt him and kill him.
Exactly.
He was like, no, even whenever we find out that Bucky killed Iron Man's parents,
well,
still wouldn't do anything.
But it's a matter of also in the context, it's a matter of Bucky who is now settled and that he's trying to be away because he's more settled in Wakanda. And he doesn't want to basically be in that lifestyle repeating history.
Yeah.
But also it's the fact that he was still wanted by the government and that he pretty much became a national wanted guy. I can see why they didn't do it, but if it was me, if I was writer, I would have said, well, in context-wise, because Winter Soldier had more of a... He pretty much had more of a cohesive story involved with him, because we followed him since the first Avenger.
Yeah.
I would have still done that if it was me. But I see why they did it.
But
But even the emotional ending where we get to see everyone like go their separate ways, and even Thor going pretty much off the galaxy.
How are we forgetting Black Widow's death?
That was I was about to get to earlier, because Black Widow, she had the most emotional because Hawkeye had to let her go in order to sacrifice her because he had to get the Soul Stone.
They basically had to play everything all over again, replacing people like she replaced Gamora's death by falling and getting the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
And shit like that just really... This movie...
It pulls the fucking emotions.
To see what we saw in the first movie of Iron Man and to see how very kid-friendly and then the series get more darker.
Yeah.
And then these two films, Infinity War and Endgame, will forever be in my heart as great movies. In fact, they'll go down as classics.
Yes.
I mean, Thanos, everybody's performance, you don't even have to talk about the performances.
No.
Come on, they're all good.
But I will say, though, out of the performances, I will say this is probably my favorite performance as Iron Man with Downey as him, because he gave one last hoorah, and he did it fantastic. He pulled basically what Hugh Jackman did as Logan on that emotional level.
Yeah, it's up there. It's on par with that. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
This would be my favorite of his. And really, honestly, it's my favorite of the whole entire Marvel movies. The Infinity War and this. These are my favorite of all their Marvel, the whole universe. So, yeah, there ain't much more we can say. So that's our 2019 best list.
Yep. Now we're looking forward to probably some not as really much movies that we really have like hype for this year, but because 2019 was basically the end of like everything that we could really imagine. So this one is going to be pretty much a fresh start with seeing movies that just come and see how they work out. Now
that we got our happy list out, here's where we're going to get to our shit list.
So be prepared. Pun from Lion King. Not on my list, but I'm just saying be prepared for that list coming up in our worst list of 2019.
Before I do that, I might need to go and get me an aspirin.
Yeah, we got a lot of shit to talk about, so we'll see y'all later.